So today we read from Vishvambhara, Canto 9 and chapter 20, text 31 is 38, 39. Okay, so on the board is a 39, not 38. So what I'll do, I'll read the 38 on my own, and then we'll read the 39 together. Translation. So this is the chapter of the dynasty of Puru, descendant of Puru, who was the son of King Yayati. So we're following that story. Brihaspati said to Mamata, "You foolish woman, although this child was born from the wife of one man through the semen discharged by another, you should maintain him." Upon hearing this, Mamata replied, "O Brihaspati, you maintain him." After speaking in this way, Brihaspati and Mamata both left. Thus the child was known as Bharadwaj. Translation. This is the last translation with a very small purport by Srila Prabhupada of the 20th chapter. Although encouraged by the demigods to maintain the child, Mamata considered him useless because of his illicit birth, and therefore she left him. Consequently, the demigods known as the Maruts maintained the child, and when Maharaj Bharat was disappointed for want of a child, this child was given to him as his son. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. From this verse, it is understood that those who are rejected from the higher planetary system are given a chance to take a birth in the most exalted families on this planet Earth. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 9th canto, 28th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Dynasty of Puru. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmalitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadandikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam, pangalam gayate girim, yatkripa tamaham vande, Shri Guru Dinatarinam. By the mercy of the spiritual master, a lame man can cross mountains, and by the mercy of the spiritual master, a blind man can see stars in the sky. And by the mercy of the spiritual master, a dumb man like me can speak eloquently. Therefore I offer my humble obeisances to the lotus feet of my spiritual master. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Tamala Krishna Goswamini Tinamane. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamini Tinamane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunnavadi Paskata Desatarine Vanchakalpadrubhascha Kripasindubheva cha Ptitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namah. So, for those who have followed this story, it is very sad. You can see here that for this child to be rejected by the heavenly society, you could see that illicit activities are also going on in the heavenly planets. Often you hear scandals like Lord Brahma chasing his daughter, which is incest. It's a sin. Then you have here Brihaspati, the priest of the demigods, who occupies a very exalted position of Dharma. Brihaspati means religion, is the authority of religious principles on the heavenly planets. We're not talking about the earth, about a Brahman directing the society, but you have the head of the demigods, who's supposed to be the vision of the demigods, but he also committed very heinous sin, that he had a brother, Uttatya, and his wife, the wife of his brother, who was Mamata, that's the lady we are talking here. She was very beautiful, and Brihaspati became attracted to her, and he wanted to have. He couldn't control his senses, even though he's a priest, religious man. Sacrilege, that's what they call it in the Catholic monastery, when there is an affair between a priest and a woman, or priest and a nun. It's a sacrilege. It's very sinful. That you will lose all the credibility of being a religious man. What he did, Brihaspati, he did not just allured Mamata, into a sensual activity, but he raped her. He forced, as you read the verses before, he forced himself to impregnate or to pass out the semen into the womb of the wife of his brother, even though she was not willing for such a thing. And not only that, the wife of his brother was already pregnant. Now, even nowadays, if the police they arrest someone who has done such a thing, it's a very serious crime, to rape a woman who is pregnant. And we are talking about a priest here, Brihaspati, the head of the demigods. So sometimes we think of ourselves, I'm a priest, a Brahman, or a Vaishnava, everything is under control. But all these examples, they're meant, to keep us alert. That only one, Krishna says, if you only one of our senses astray, then we're forced to do things, abominable things. And what is it? Krishna says, it's only lust. Lust is a very powerful reign supreme into the body, because it's part of the body. So the child that was in the womb of Mamata, he became very angry, that this man is having an affair with my mother. And immediately, as Chanaka Pandit says, that when a woman accepts another man in the presence of her husband, then the woman becomes an enemy for that child, for the son or daughter. So he contested, but in the womb, but Brihaspati cursed him and killed him. He did not just rape this woman, but he killed the boy in the womb, and he established his own semen, his own progeny. But not only that, it was not yet finished, but the woman seeing, that, like we see here, that this child was illegitimate. It was an impostor from another man. So she rejected him. And Brihaspati also rejected this child, who is the father. There you are, you invite a child into this world or in the heavenly planets, and then you walk out as a parent. So this is a very, very sinful thing. And that's why these are translations here. The father rejected the boy, and the mother rejected the boy, and they both walked away. And this boy was known as a Varnasankara. Varnasankara is unwanted child. You have, they're very rare, the Varnasankara in the heavenly planets, but it happens there also, and this is such an example. So the like Krishna said, Arjuna said it to Krishna, I don't want to fight because by killing all these people, all these men, then the women, they become unprotected, and then the Varnasankara society becomes prominent. What was the verse? Adharma bhavat Krishna pradusyanti kulastriya strisu dustrasu varshneya jayate Varnasankara. That's the one. So you could see the word Varnasankara there also. That when the women's there unprotected, of course in this case here, Mamata was, the husband was not around. Brihaspati took advantage. She was not protected, and as a consequence, this boy was born. Now, you could see that from the little purport, the Prabhupada says, from this verse it is understood that those who are rejected from the higher planetary system are given a chance to take a birth into most exalted families on this planet Earth. The worst from the heavenly planets becomes the best in these middle planets. How did this happen? The Maruts, that they are also, the demigod society, they rejected, this boy. The parents, they rejected him. But the Maruts, being very merciful, they gave him shelter. And they gave him a future. They gave him such an exalted position. Because the Maruts, they're like the, they're actually sages. They're like the Kumaras in the heavenly planets. And one of the Maruts is Vishvambhara. That he also, actually even at the Maruts, they, in another instance in the Bhagavatam, they committed a sin. And as a result, they had to take a birth into just for a few seconds, into the earthly planets. But not just an ordinary birth. They took a birth, as the sons of Ganga. And one after another, she sacrificed them by drowning them in the Ganga. You know the story anyway from the Mahabharata. And one of them was left alive, which was Bhishmadev. And you could see one of the Maruts, the best of the Kurus dynasty. So, what happened here that now we're going to the earthly planets. We park the episode of the heavenly planets a little bit. We suspend it in the air. We will go down to the earthly planets, back to Bharata Maharaj. Like the last translation here says, although encouraged by the demigods to maintain the child, Mamata considered him useless because of his illicit birth, and therefore she left him. Consequently, the demigods, known as the Maruts, maintained the child. When Maharaj Bharat was disappointed for want of a child, this child was given to him as his son. The wives of Bharat Maharaj, they also committed another one. Bharat, he had 3 wives, and the 3 of them, they were pregnant from Bharat Maharaj. And but because the children, they did not resemble the father, because the father was a very beautiful person. He was actually the partial manifestation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You could say it was God Himself. That's why the great Bharatavarsha, the name came after this personality, that he was born with, the sign in his hands and his feet, chakra, the lotus, the club, and the disc. So he was actually representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the 3 wives, seeing these children that did not resemble him, so they got paranoid. They said, if we presented these children to our husband, then he will reject us, because he thinks, that we had an affair with another man. So therefore they killed these 3 children. And again, you could see here that the conjugal relationship is always more higher and important than the parental relationship. The women, they rather kill the child, but they don't kill the husband. You have the example of Kunti Devi. Even in the higher ras, in Krishna pastimes, the gopis' relationship with Krishna is more intimate than the relationship that he has with the mother Jashoda and Nanda Maharaj on Vasudeva and Devaki. Because the conjugal relationship, it's like a soulmate, the most intimate. And that is the husband for the wife, you could say in very crude, mundane terms, he wears the number 1 t-shirt. So, therefore, if she has to choose between the husband and the children, she will choose the husband to be with her and the children to die. So, Kunti Devi also did the same thing. She was worried, she got impregnated by the Surya Narayan, the sun god. And this poor child, Radheya, Karna, was born. And she was feeling ashamed to face the future, the society, and that means I cannot get married anymore. So therefore she had to reject the boy, because her position in that society was more important. Otherwise she wouldn't have got married again. Of course, there is a transcendental pastime, and we should not pass out judgment on these pastimes of this great personality, because wherever you see these incidents, there is always a blessing in disguise. There is always the power of God behind it. And you could see that these children, they are not ordinary children. Karna he was actually the best of the Pandavas, very powerful, better than Arjuna. Very religious man. Krishna says, you give up your association with the Duryodhana, and I'll make you the emperor, the Chakravarti of Bharat. But he was not interested, to be the. So he wanted actually respect his relationship, friendship that he had with the Duryodhana, And that's why he's known as the embodiment of friendship, Karna. And he had a glorious death. Arjuna, being the best warrior, celebrated and glorified by all the Vaishnavas and everyone in India who knows the story of the Mahabharata. But he had to be a coward to kill his brother, Karna. He could not kill Karna in a heroic way. So Krishna arranged it in that way. He wanted Karna to die as a hero. And of course, again, this is a family affair. We should not judge and pass our judgment. Karna is better than Arjuna, Arjuna is better than Karna. This is their own intimate relationship, and it's Krishna's pastime, and it's better than we do not judge and take side. Better to not take side. Both they were very dear to Krishna. So here, Bharadwaj, this child, also like Karna, he got very glorious future. You could say that from this calamity, but a good thing, came about, because the Maruts, they gave this child to Maharaj Bharat, because Bharat was frustrated. I'm not going to try again with my wives to have another child. They've already betrayed me. I'd rather have a Varnasankara as a child. Adopt him. So that's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He lifted up his devotee. Bharadwaj, great personality. It came out of the semen of Brihaspati, who is, just because of one of his acts doesn't mean that he was a demon. And that semen was actually religiosity personified. Bharadwaj he was a very religious boy, and it was given to the best of the kings. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bharat. And under his training and shelter, he became the Chakravarti, unconquerable. And from Bharadwaj you could see that the great dynasty of Ranti Devi, Jai Shishirada Gokulananda Ki Jai, Ranti Devi was born, and there was the Kauravas, the Yadu dynasty, and in that dynasty Lord Krishna, Vishvambhara and Lord Krishna was born. Such an exalted personality. So the demigods, you could see that, even though they've got one eye, one spiritual eye and one material eye, because they are materialistic. That they are also devotee of Lord Vishnu. They are not like the residents of the spiritual world, that completely spiritual vision. So you could say that there is a saying in Italian that in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is a king. Now these earthly planets, we're all blind. And you could see that Bharadwaj, because he was from heavenly planets, he was made a king on the earthly planets. So like Prabhupada says in the purport, the worst from the heavenly planets becomes the best in these middle planets. You can see that demigods, they're not just ordinary personality. They never come here, Prabhupada says in one purport. They don't even come if they have to pass water or use this place as a toilet. They will not come. But they do come occasionally when the Lord Krishna appears and they want to be with him. So demigods are more advanced in terms of material civilization and the spiritual consciousness also more advanced than us. Sometimes we think, I'm devotee, I'm better than the demigods. We should not think like that. The demigods, they are there because previous lives, the great jnani, great yogis, or devotees. Sometimes they go, material desires, they go to the heavenly planets. They're promoted to these much better standards of life, high-class society. So, Bharadwaj became the conqueror of all the four directions, not just an emperor, but Chakravarti means, he conquered the north, the south, the east, the west, up and down, everywhere, in all directions. And he did great things, great achievement, and to be born, adopted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Is not an ordinary thing. So you could see that even of the Maruts, Bhishmadev, he was born in the dynasty of Bharadwaj. So this is the destiny of those who are sometimes unfortunate. Krishna always rewards the failure. Sometimes we see things as a failure. Bharadwaj being rejected, Varna Sankara, but for us, we could see in that way. But for Krishna, he can raise up to the much better, fortunate situation such an individual. Sometimes you get, the people who are born in a very unfortunate situation, rejected by the parents, and but then they have a great fortune in their lives. I mean, speaking for myself, my mother and father, they divorced, and my father went to Russia. Was an architect, so he got some work in Russia, and he stayed there for a few years. So my mother, she put us in a monastery, and I grew up with this anger, towards my parents. When I came out at the age of 16, I cursed them. I said, what kind of parents? They invite me in this world and then they... But actually, thinking in retrospect, now I'm very appreciative for what they did, because if it was not for them, I wouldn't be a devotee. In the monastery, I learned the science of knowledge of Christianity. And because Prabhupada says, even Jesus Christ is from the heavenly planets. There is one purport where he says that he's the son of Lord Brahma, and he said that at the time when he speaks about the kingdom of God, the Creator, God the Creator, that's Lord Brahma. There is actually one purport where Prabhupada says that. And all the sincere Christians, they go to Brahmaloka or Satyaloka. And then when Lord Brahma goes back home, back to Godhead, all these sincere Christians, they also go back home, back to Godhead. So, you could see that everything is connected, either to the spiritual world or to the heavenly planets. Anyway, so this is just an insight of this incident here, that sometimes we see that people, the destiny punish the success and reward the failure. Somebody who is born, in a good family, and is rejected, and sometimes, Bharata Maharaj, he didn't have any children, and he achieved a son who was supposed to be a Varna Sankara. So he's rewarded. So we can understand the hand of Krishna. Maya dakshe prakriti suyate sacharacharam. And in that purport of the Gita, Prabhupada says, Akunda Medase. Who can understand the hand of God, the plans of Krishna? So we'll stop here, and we'll leave. We got 10 minutes. We have to finish class at 8:30 and ask if there is any questions.